Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
I'm just all messed up this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday. How could I forget the date? Today is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Yes, it is my birthday. However, we'll maybe do something later in the week to celebrate that. It was important to me this morning to bring this brother back into the Java Cafe the day before Election Day. And remember, tomorrow is Election Day. Get your happy selves out there. Register. Well, you can't register to vote. You can register for the general that is coming up in November, but get out there and vote if you are registered. Polls open at 7 a.m. and they close at 8 p.m. And as long as you're in line by 7:59, and let it be that there are calls made because you're in line and they are trying to close and the lines are exhaustive. I would so have that be a critique of the city. And not so well, the city of Boston and us as voters in the city, that we would exhaust the polls at 8 p.m. so much so that people are advocating, yo, they won't let me in the vote. And no indictment on the city. Y'all know what I'm saying here. Let's get out to vote. So we're going to get ready to get this young man on screen. And it in full context and a disclaimer or whatever, not a disclaimer, but understanding. A lot of people were not happy with the decision of NBC Boston to not include this black man in the conversation about being a candidate for mayor, about black issues. And as they partnered with great folks at Embrace and Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, there was an expectation that black issues obviously would be addressed. But he's the only black man running. And full, again, disclosure. Yes. Am I with another candidate? Yeah. But this is my brother. This is a black man, and his consistency and advocacy in a lot of spaces is undeniable. And so I understand my influence. I understand I have a platform, and I found it necessary to bring this brother back. So those that have the last week and a half with this brother, his cadence and his energy, the poll that was mentioned, I don't know where he was in the latest poll that came out the other day, but we'll get into it. So he just whispered to me he wasn't even in it. And so 15 seconds of, is it typically a standard that entities and some individuals and coalitions, they look at things like fundraising? I challenged him and asked him the last time he was here about that. They look at numbers and all that other stuff, but away from that, as the system is changing. It hasn't changed, but it's changing. And it's with people like him that we have to be more intentional about demonstrating the support. The likes, the polls, the online stuff, that's cool. But are we going to vote? And did we donate? Or are we going to donate? So enough of my commentary. Let's bring this brother back, because I want to allow him to be able to get back out and get ready to campaign and do what it is that he needs to do. And so I want to thank everybody. I see the birthday acknowledgments, and we will do that after he leaves. When he leaves, we can have a whole full online birthday party. All right. What's up, bro?
Good morning, man. Happy birthday.
I appreciate it. Thank you. First of all, I have to ask how you're doing. And I'm Mingo, do not give me any political. I'm asking Mingo, my brother, that is a black man, that is running, that has achieved a lot, that from what I just said about not being included to, a lot of things as a black man, we talk about health, we talk about mental health. And so how are you, with all due respect, as Mingo doing? Not the candidate, Mingo.
Well, I said this a few weeks back on a live I did. It's just a natural feeling. I mean, when you've never been included, You don't know how it feels to be excluded. So my feelings towards it is it's not as big as some folks who are watching from the outside who've been expressing like, yo, that's not cool. I said, we're Black in Boston, show me places we've been included and then let me know.
I'm going to challenge you because you're going to the macro. And I get it. I get it. It's who you are. I don't want the macro.
No, I'm giving you my truth. Because again,
yours, not everybody else is yours. Okay.
Because if I lived with that kind of mindset, I wouldn't be here today. Because I was told from day one, I'm not belonging in this space. And then I get the feeling from the people who really are looking for that change, when they come to you in the middle of the street and say, keep up the good work. We see you. We appreciate it. So that in itself says I do belong.
I still didn't. I'm not going to pry too much because I still didn't get the answer. Answer. I still and I get it. We do what we do. We go to the macro and what do you do for fun? Oh, I help the community and whatnot.
No, just I hear you, bro. This is for the community to give a response. That's how I feel about it. Because if I'm left out, you're left out. It's showing you the truth about why the
system. Mental Health Monday. So give me one word. Because you. It's Mental Health Monday. Give me one word for your mental health. That's how we'll.
Awesome.
I'm glad this is. You better be glad this is live.
No, but
it's
the truth. My mental health right now is awesome because
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm juggling what life is. I'm like I said, I just came from the airport picking my daughter up. That right there in itself, and having that convo with her about her going into her undergrad and how that feels for a family. She'll be the first one in the family to get an undergrad. Like, come on, let's do it. Let's push it. Let's make the envelope go where we need it to go. Let's mail it to the address we want it to get to. And being left out is getting to the addresses that need to get the memo. These are not flyers getting paid to get out there. This is something that was on national TV.
Stay with you and we'll transition to the work in a minute.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. That's.
I got a little bit out of you.
Yeah, I'm feeling whole. I'm feeling grateful just to be in spaces that most people denied me, and this is creating spaces for the next.
I have to give you some credence to a great that's in the room, and she's affirming. Angelina said, "I know what he means, though." He's tuned into his positive energy, and that's good mental health. And he did say that, Angelina. So, ain't nobody asked you to chime in. All right. So in the context of a lot of the response I saw on social media, I had my own views of, legacy mainstream media. You were not included in the conversation the other night. And so I want to ask you specifically, and I want to ask you to speak to a little bit that a term that Brother Wawa mentioned in the Java Cafe a few weeks ago, and it may be out in other places. There is this conversation, Mingo, about the diaspora. It's coming up now with ICE here and immigration. It's on social media, so I can say it. He's my brother. Brother Darnell Singleton and I had a conversation today because I put a post up about, what are we doing? What are we doing as far as ICE being here and things like that? And there is this, from the immigration thing going on to specifically within a diaspora, Cape Verdean, and Black and whatnot. And so with this as a part of the conversation from 13 when John ran to what we talked about the other day, I'm setting context like this purposely to ask you with that term foundational Black Americans, and then those who have migrated here either by decision or by force, how do you speak to that when it comes to, and I'll be intentional and give you space here for political power. How, and specifically here in Boston, how do we recognize our power? And then I have a second part to that, specifically from a foundational Black American view or perspective here in Boston. How do you deal with that as you? Because the other day you said, I'm African. And then I said, Mingo, say that you're Black so people won't, say, oh, he didn't say he was Black. You as an individual, how do you deal with that?
I appreciate your struggles as part of being the enslaved community.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
As a whole.
Yep.
I'm the first bus stop. I mean, I can't
explain what you mean by that, please.
The transatlantic shipping.
Yes. Let's give us about 30 seconds of history. Yep.
You know, Cape Verde was one of the first islands to be colonized, to turn it into it's a port. It's an export port where folks were being brought to before they were put on ships to go across the planet. And that's our history. But that's been kept away from the Cape Verdean community because we don't write history. People who write the history put in what they want in these manufactured textbooks. You know, I'm going off the wind, the ocean current. I mean, the planet's been spinning longer than we've been on it, and it hasn't changed the current in the wind for this part of the world. So, you know, most hurricanes starts off, again, Aaron just destroyed one of our islands in Cabo Verde. Started off on the coast of Cabo Verde and travels and ends here in Boston.
Can I pause right there for a minute and ask you to give us an update on anything that you're hearing or what's going on? Are you involved with any resources that are still going over there? Because we haven't heard as much about it. We talked about it when Mario and Milton was here, but just from what you're hearing,
we're still collecting stuff. People are still collecting stuff because it's going to take, you know, here and there and others to help us assist, just like we assist with other, you know, islands in the Caribbean when they get hit. So this is, you know, to the point of the diaspora. We have to be globally connected and understand that we are one people, regardless of where you got off. You didn't get off by a decision. You got off forcefully. So I got off in Boston. Happens to be I came on a plane, but reality, my ancestors were brought here and ended up here. I have uncles who were born in the Cape. I got family members who have been in the Cape 2-3 generations. But at the same time, I'm not black enough because no one understands my struggle as an encaptured person.
And that is real, and not to go too deep to make sure we have time to talk to some policy, but you referenced to that before, and Mario talked about it too, of the own. So while you said you appreciate my struggle as a black man in the history of being enslaved, there is some crossover with all the history that happened in the port and what you referenced before the other day. And so at some point, there might need to be an update on history lessons for foundational Black Americans and our immigrant populations,
for all of us.
For all of us. And you said it's a global. I agree, especially what's going on nationally. I asked that because in Boston, it is in your candidacy and John's, and just in this current conversation of advocacy, it is a conversation. I respect, you know, both sides. So I just wanted to ask you about that, to now go in, and we're going to have a conversation about Black Boston and however you speak to it.
Hold on, let's don't skip the ICE question.
Well, we're going to wait. Oh, it was implied. All right. So
because again, we're working with federal governments to clean up Boston streets using the RICO law, which is a law that's on the books. And meanwhile, you know, folks are taking the attention from what's really going on. We do not have the capacity to negotiate with the federal government. We've lost that as a city. And that started, you know, months ago. And I'll continue to say it. As a union president, my job was to keep the lines of communication open and negotiation. And when we cut ourselves from the conversation by saying, I'm not willing to meet you at the table because that's what was done, and then turn around and ask for transparency, why would I?
There is a lot to unpack there from. And if you remember when you were last on, how it was interpreted by some of your response to this, you know, it was right here live. We got questions about, is he?
I'm an independent, so I'm looking at all views. I want to be able to protect the city, not just have a one-sided conversation, but to have a conversation to make sure we move forward. Ask our Trinidadian brothers how many of their friends have been deported since the 80s.
It's so, and let's full transparency. It's national. I want to keep things close, but it's a part of the conversation. Some of the numbers up until, you know, recently, the Obama administration had extremely high numbers of deportations. And so
let me give you a solution to it as mayor.
Where's
our embassies in this conversation that governs these places of origins? Where's the Cape Verdean embassy in this conversation? Where's the Honduran,
specifically where in today, Boston
right
or
now,
embassy?
Right,
what do you mean?
Now.
Where are they?
Where are they? Where are they on the point of conversation to tell us what we can do to enhance what they're doing?
But all right, it's getting federal. But if I understand correctly, the embassies ran by the federal government, and this federal government right now is
not the federal government. So when
you mean the embassy here in the United States,
when you leave United States and goes to Colombia, or you go to Honduras, anywhere, Dominican Republic, and you as an American get into a situation, where do you go find refuge?
At the American embassy.
Correct. So if I'm from Cape Verde and I'm looking for refuge, that's where my starting point is. I need to go back to my embassy that gave me a visa, my embassy that I got a petition for. So this conversation is about educating.
You're talking about process. If you get deported out of here, if I understand you,
you gotta go through my embassy.
You can't, but the embassies right now under him is not favorable for them to get processed back properly.
All I'm saying is those embassies have the agreement between the United States and their country on their Rolodex. It's in their bylaws. It's in their day-to-day operation, where you and we're just regular citizens. We don't fully understand what's really being transpired, and we need all hands on deck.
And in full transparency, I understand what you're saying, but also some federal processes. And so that may be a good segue to bring it back to Boston when you asked about the ICE question. That when you came in, I said, the surge is here, and you said, oh, they've been here. Specifically to the ICE question, if you were mayor, would you work with ICE in the manner that this DOJ and the Attorney General is I'm
gonna work with what the law is. I'm gonna work with what the language is to specifically enhance whatever language we need to change, because it all goes back to policies and procedures. And this is why I bring up these embassies, to have them in the conversation. Listen,
it's a part of it.
It's a huge part of it. It's not a small. It's a huge part of it, because me as an American, if I'm in any country and I need refuge, that's where I go.
But Mingo, on the point of if they get deported, and I want to move away, and I'm going to push you because I want to move away from the federal. It's a part, but I want to move away from the federal to bring it back to Boston. So we talked about this before, that you want to ensure Massachusetts is not a sanctuary state. Boston is, via the Trust Act, a sanctuary or a city that does not only target people on immigration status, and there's the whole conversation about if they're criminal, misdemeanor, and things like that. If end this conversation saying exactly what you would do or attempt to do, because this has to be in concert with city council. What is it that you would push through, excuse me, to either, as you said, enhance? What would you do?
Again, the line of communication. Listen, give me who needs to be picked up. Give Boston police the list of who needs to be picked up within Boston city limits. We'll handle it. And if this is a warrant for a criminal offense, that's what the act, it's not a law, it's an act, says. If it's a criminal complaint, we have to honor it. If it's a civil complaint, we don't. That means, if someone's walking on the street and you ask them their name and they got an outstanding parking ticket, does Boston police arrest you? No, they don't. That's the analogy that I use, because that's what it translates to. Now, if I'm walking down the street, you run my name and it comes back that I got an attempted murder charge, I ain't got no choice but to go with the police, because they're not gonna let me walk away. And this is what the act is saying. And people are not interpreting it to what it really means, because we're being given this bubblegum wrap kind of answer. This is on a criminal offense. Goes back to, again, the feds who are picking up Bostonians using the BRIC program, that Boston feeds the information into the system, then turns around and feeds it to the federal government, but says to us, it's for your benefit. Tell that to the grandmother who got.
The thing is, and I just did to make sure, because this is one of the reasons why I don't, the whole journalist title and all that. I want to make sure that
facts are right.
Facts are right.
I read it.
And so
it's not that long.
I understand that, but I'm getting some of the key facts in there. Where it's police don't act as ICE. Boston police and city officials are not allowed to stop, question, or arrest people just because they might be undocumented. And that is the key thing, because would you, and we'll move away from this into some other policy, would you agree that there is, via the federal agents, not so definitely not Boston police because they can't, and there's some language now in the media that they're not just saying, Pam is not just saying Boston, but they're saying the state of Massachusetts as well. Do you agree that they are targeting people with, they're looking at people? You and I got, if you go to Home Depot to buy something right now.
Haven't you been racially profiled all your life?
We have, yes.
Okay,
I
so
just celebrated with Joey.
I definitely understand that.
So
I definitely understand it.
And then our immigrant brothers and sisters,
I'm not saying
are at risk.
BPD is coming to you and asking your immigration
They're not.
status. And they're not supposed to, because that's not their job. A U.S. Marshal,
but they want the feds want assistance by the police in doing that.
Let's go back to what the law says.
And the law says that the police can't. Our local law says that they can't.
If it's not a criminal complaint.
If it's not a criminal, but
and that's
it's
what I'm saying.
Slippery slope, and I understand your point about the link.
If I'm at court right now, walking out, and they just released me on attempted murder charge.
If they release you on an attempt, first of all, that brings up, because that is county and state first, and it brings up a why did you know what they asked? Why did you just until proven guilty, because you did talk about targeting, and a lot of our brothers.
I hear you, but do you know what it is when you get an intake for probation?
Do they? Are you saying in context of asking your status?
You can ask anybody who's ever did intake.
But
for
in
probation.
city services, bringing it back, because that is county and state. In city services, we don't necessarily ask the status.
We're not the
resources. Right. Absolutely. So the DA's office, and so. But there's things that there's levels, right, that we're not put into context. So people are not understanding when you walk in front of a probation. It's a lot to unpack. Intake, they have to take your immigration status. In probation, that is a county and state, but on a city services and in BPD, when they get arrested, I'm not sure, so I can't say yay or nay. Do they ask your immigration status? All that. If you're arrested, every single even though it's a city and your social, of course, yeah. Which gives. Okay, so there's a lot of intake. There's a lot of context, and there's a lot of clarity that needs to happen here. Okay, we understand, because now we're saying we don't. But the reality is, the folks who's been in the system understands that. Close this out with one statement around the Trust Act. As mayor, you would. Let's educate what it really looks like, not just from a city standpoint, but from the person who's petitioning in Cape Verde to come to America and then stays on a visa that expires. Well, that brings us back into, there's a lot of conversation here about what was the context of the embassies. I'm saying, if I understood you right, if you got deported, they're the ones that are going to take you out of the country. They're what I'm saying is, if America deports people back to, say, DR or El Salvador, where I use Cape Verde because I can speak for if they deport back to Cape Verde, and the Cape Verde embassy has to take ownership of the person. The American embassy in Cape Verde is ran by this administration. So they're not going to make it easy to come back. One, because I believe if you're deported, you got a minimum of 5 years or something. There's a lot of, for some people, never you can't. Exactly. So the embassy is of no. When it's criminal, okay. That's what I'm saying. You're right. When it's criminal, it's like bouncing off the ball. That's why I do it to you, James, because I know you think. Sorry, you're a thinker. Look, because now we get it's me and Mingo and sorry, and this is what we want. Again, healthy conversation. We're having these healthy conversations, but what's unhealthy right now is that we are in the risk of people just because. As I'll close this part out. If you went to Home Depot right now to buy something, and your truck says Darosa, and some ignorant federal agent says that it looks. That he may not be American, they can come and ask you, are you a citizen? They are doing that, Mingo. Yeah, I know. And then if you got arrested before. Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I know. So what I'm saying is, and potentially based on a past issue, James, what I'm saying is right now we know the issue, right? So I went through this. So because I don't have my situations together. You have something still open? No. Oh, I need to go see my embassy from Cabo Verde so we can address it without me being looked for. You're saying the one here? Yes. We're clear on that. Okay.
So there's levels to this that we can assist people instead of saying hide with the community. And if they catch you, don't say nothing. How about let's go fix the issue before they catch you?
We can walk out, but to Darnell, I said this morning, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. My only issue is that my only issue is that it in the you saw what happened before.
I know
there is
sad.
Trauma. There is
But
an go ahead.
What did we do to fix it so we don't have a second trauma? That's my thing.
That is the intermediate and long term around the policy, yes. But in and again,
well, I'm not talking about policy. I'm talking about the issue of illegal immigration. How do we
had all right, we're talking with embassy, and we're going back to federal issues because a couple of years ago we had a plan that this was resolved, and the people that are in charge right now demolished it for the purpose of
we got to take this on all levels of government. Boston,
you are right, attention. But all politics are local.
No, it's in all politics.
The demonstration of what they're doing is well, that's Mingo. All right, let me move you into some policy. I am shout out to our brother DL Black Dollar on code, and one of the things that have come up in this race is small businesses, the support of legacy businesses, a focus on Black-owned businesses. There is an economic impact on the thing that you've been seeing maybe on social media about the blackest summer ever in Boston. Let's talk Black Dollar.
Can we add one more black thing?
Yes.
Unsolved murders.
Yes, we can. In the thing of finance, there is an economic impact. And there are people from body bags to the guns to there is an industry that is a part of and poverty contributes to unsolved murders and guns. Yes. You got your paper there. I don't have mine. We're going to go back and talk about that in the context of violence. We're going to talk specifically about financial gain for Black Boston. What is your agenda, and how would you ensure that there is a wealth increase? And I'll say not just for small businesses that have the infrastructure to apply for grants and do other things, but entrepreneurs who are a big part of, and I was getting ready to say the arts run a lot of the economic engine here in Boston. What is your agenda for Black Dollar, Black economic?
Should I talk about where it starts and where it ends? I mean, because
I want to know what you would do within your first 100. I'm pushing you as a candidate now. What would you do in your first 100 days to increase the Black Dollar?
One, I'll acknowledge Faneuil Hall for what it is. There's no acknowledgement that it was a slave trading post. You know, that's where Black Dollars was created for Boston.
So now I understand your question. So let me answer your question. I want you to come up now and not from where it started.
History?
I said,
well, because I go back there because we have a handful of Black businesses in Quincy Market, which is the market square, right?
Yeah.
We have very little culture marketing there.
Let me just do a plug and a shout out to Boston. Let me make it plain. Boston Public Market, y'all. Shout out to Cheryl. She just retired. They got a lot of economic development going on there for Black folks. Faneuil Hall is versus different, but I just had to because I thought about it. And they're doing some great stuff.
This is where we've been talking about for decades now. I mean, it's the capital of tourism in Boston, and we don't get none of that capital, that tourist capital. People come into our city, use our city, see our resources, like 4th of July. There's 1,000,001 tourists downtown, but we don't have enough Black businesses in that area to capture that money. So, oh yeah, the area made all this money when the Celtics play, but we don't have no Black businesses to capture that money.
Okay.
So we can't just keep saying, oh, we want another store in Mattapan Square. No, I want you to have a store on Center Street. I want you to have it on West Broadway. I want you to have it in the middle of the North End. So you can create that kind of room for us in other places.
So if I understood you right, you did say a policy thing is the Faneuil Hall piece, and there be sort of a reparation and a if you will, a reparative approach with what you named about Faneuil Hall to a focus on Black businesses, specifically in Faneuil Hall.
Especially when we were sold there by the millions.
Yeah, okay.
And then not
economics. Stay on economics.
That is economics.
I know it's in the past, but I'm talking about getting us.
We still
because to Lee Rodriguez's point, there's a point there, and you brought it up before, that even though things speak. No, I'm not going to get into that because that's part of that conditioning crap. I'm talking about what you would go in and do. And there's some stuff that this brother, y'all know my brain. It is, he said it earlier. So some things are bouncing off the wall at the same time. So Faneuil Hall is one. What are some other things that you would do specifically around the entrepreneurs that may not be because the truth of the matter is, there are some businesses that aren't ready to scale up to, and this was some of the chatter in response to the space grant.
Beginning, you have to create entrepreneurs.
What I'm saying is, we have entrepreneurs now. What would you do they're created. What would you do to support them that are in between the ability to go into Faneuil Hall, but they have a good
micro contracts for city projects and honoring the job residency policy that's been created since the late 70s, early 80s for Bostonians. And, 51% of these projects that are over 55,000 square feet are supposed to be for Bostonians, 40% for Black and brown, 13% for women. So, our entry into middle class is Madison Park. Those is where we create a lot of our entrepreneurship programs to get our kids to want to be bosses. Like right now, we got fathers and mothers who are pushing their business, but their kids don't want to have nothing to do with it because they're doing something totally different.
Yep.
Which is cool. But at the same time, my effort is just going to be, it's just going to be my effort. Like, you want to give it to your family. That's that generational wealth that we really need to talk about. Everything has a liability, but home ownership is limited. Creating economic opportunity is a greater mass. I can control how much I want to make this week versus how much I make a month. When you own a property, depending on how many properties you have and what your overhead is, you might not walk away with any profit till you're in your 15th year.
Well, they say fifth, but yeah, it's high.
Well, I'm talking
about
owning real estate, real estate. I'm saying as a business, they usually give you 2 to 5 years to get your numbers in order. And usually if you really market it the right way, what I mean by that is making sure you get your dollar value for what you're worth versus saying, I'm just going to take, X amount of dollars. And that's where we lose as a community, because what I can do in Roxbury here for 10 grand, I can do in Wellesley for 50.
To your point about, you were going to say a Roxbury, and then I want to ask you another question while we talk about that. But Kenya brings up a point saying that what I've been hearing is that Black people want their funds to go to neighborhoods they live in. Seaport and North End is nice, but I'd like my play money to be spent in my hood. Willie Broderick some years ago said that, for example, in Nubian Square, he would like the ability to leave church on Sunday, walk down to Nubian Square, grab something to eat, maybe get a movie, and or maybe not Sunday, but on the way home on a Saturday, and pick up his cleaning for Sunday. And so there is the balance of, and even brother on the other side, Brother Darnell said in reference to the liquor license thing, the example he brought was that they was targeted for certain zip codes, which is cool for our neighborhood. But what if a Black owned business, it's a not state issue, because where they were, how they're decided in Boston was a municipal issue. He wanted the ability to go into like South Boston or Seaport. So there is both sides to this. And so to your point, we can have the economic development. Do you believe that we can focus on economic development for the Black community in both spaces, geographically speaking, in our hood? And
listen, hip hop's everywhere.
Okay.
You got kids in Southie, rocking their hat to the side. We influence a lot of the things that go on. I know people that, love barbecue, period. Like, it doesn't matter what they look like. They come from Texas and they want to find a good barbecue, but they're scared of coming to Roxbury.
Well, to my brother's point, on a few levels, there's some conditioning around that, and because there is, All right, Mingo, I got, because you know we can go off rails in subsets of this because we both know in the way my brain works because of your responses. All right, we talked about economic development. Focus on Faneuil Hall. I don't know if
it's not just Faneuil Hall, but again, a lot of
that was one of the things.
Our businesses in our community, right, being able to expand, but that's also bringing businesses from other communities into our community, so we can do a 1-for-1. So for
wait, clarify what you mean about other businesses.
1-for-1, like we got more Chinese restaurants than we need, but then when you go to certain areas, there are none.
Right.
Find me a Chinese restaurant in North End.
That brings up a whole, because
I'm just
zoning and voting for it to be there and all that, and that's resident. It's developer, but it's resident driven because they participate.
Okay, but we as a city,
can,
again, just like we did with the buffering for the liquor stores. At one point, we had a liquor store on every corner that we had to say it had to be at least a half-a-mile radius. So that's how we started reducing liquor stores in our neighborhood. So there's things that we can do to say, hey, 1-for-1. You want to bring in another restaurant of the same cuisine, or bring in a Jamaican restaurant in the middle of the North End?
No, just put Irie over in the North End, and that's it. They ain't got to bring a Italian restaurant.
You know what this administration.
I mean, it would be nice to have an Italian restaurant, right? You know, because
why not? I mean,
black owned Italian restaurant.
It can be either or. I can be a contributor, being a partner of the business. But we have to create that conversation with these communities. I bet you right now, if we went and we spoke to someone in the North End and pitched this idea and said, we're going to bring you to the middle of Mattapan Square, there's $1 billion down there. Would you like to get involved?
Key point, because we said there's $1 billion down there, and they're going to jump on that. Facts.
Right, because any businessman is going to maximize.
But who's the $1 billion at the end of the day is going, the bulk of it is going to go to who? That investor.
This is where you create the partnership with the people. We have contracts that we put on the construction that says they have to have, hold on, wait, okay, 02121, 02124, 02122 on the stipulations for the project, and they can't find people within those zip codes.
You're talking about workers, right?
Period.
No, you're talking about workers or partners,
owners, partners, investors.
But it's a little conflating going on there, because
the only time we can invest as a partner is for the dispensaries.
No, I'm not. No, we're not going to conflate even more. My point, Mingo, what is it for the entrepreneurs that you would do as a active policy within your first 100 days?
We'll help them write their business plan. We'll make sure they have all the insurances they need. The city will help offset some of that.
Define help. I was going to say offset some of the costs. Okay,
offset some of the costs, but also provide.
Now everybody's about to become an entrepreneur.
Listen, provide them with the necessary, again, landscaping business. We'll waive some of the
registration.
No, not so much the registration, but some of the liability. We'll put some of that on the city to be able to go into a parks and cut down certain trees. Provide landscaping, and again, I met a guy who's keeping a parking lot clean for the city. He got a subcontract. He's a black dude. He pulled up in a Tacoma.
The significance of that was not good, or
it was it was a great thing to see. But his capacity is that one parking lot.
Wait, Tacoma. That's a
truck. It's a little Toyota.
Why did I go SUV?
A little Toyota, and it was him. And what I've seen was a young person that I don't want to assume, but it looked like it could have been a son, a nephew, or maybe a kid from the neighborhood. And this is what I'm saying about breaking them down to micro contracts.
Yep.
So now this guy is one of our vendors, but guess what we're also doing? We're also making sure he creates growth in his company by giving him the option to buy city used vehicles when we get rid of them.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I've been there, I've done that. And I've understand how to grow, because as a union president, that's what I was doing with my chapter, was growing numbers so we can be more of an influence.
So to understand you correct, one is a focus in not just Faneuil Hall, but Black-owned businesses in non-Black citywide, with understanding that there is some chatter here about people wanting to spend their money within their neighborhood, so that dollar stays.
Oh yeah, you definitely will.
But there is the advantage of going to, let's say Grace by Nia wanted to Grace by Nia North End. She's getting that dollar from non-Black Okay, that's fine, and that's the point that
So
Donnell
why
was
does it our
making.
money get to leave,
So-
but their
so-
money doesn't?
Say that again.
How come our money can leave, but theirs don't?
It's great question, sir. I'm doing an interview. I believe that our money. You said why does our money get to leave?
But they're not theirs. We can spend our money there, but they can't come spend their money here.
As long as it's black owned and after.
Have you ever seen a tourist trolley in Roxbury?
Yes.
Where?
The green and orange one, the one that's well known, and then the good brother lived like a local.
Have you ever seen
the good brother lived like a local?
The duck tour go by the Black Museum.
Oh, you're talking in the context of making it a part of outside of it. You mean the big legacy major ones that focus on? You got a good point.
So isn't that a good way to bring money to the black neighborhoods?
It is.
Imagine if we get an extra 1,000.
So are you saying
visitors?
Are you saying
it's not too far from the Museum of Fine Arts?
Let me say that again.
The Black Museum is not too far from the Museum of Fine Arts.
Yes, but it's also up again. It's pretty soon. It's going to be near White Stadium, and then that's going to be, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. All right, I want to be sure that people have some of your understanding, and forgive me for not having water in a napkin like I did last time. Okay, I don't want you to sweat. Or if you do, make sure, because you getting me hot too, man. I'm like, I'm enjoying this convo.
You said it was black, right? Coffee.
Yes. Black Java to be exact. So a black focused citywide duality of shared dollars with the focus on entrepreneurs support, which includes some financial support and technical assistance.
Yeah.
That's 2 policies for Black Boston.
And of course, you also pair them up with not only black businesses as mentors, but we want to partner them up with different, if we can get them in a classroom to get certified in some of the pieces they need, this is what it's really about.
Okay. Yep.
Someone wants to go back to school because they want to get their business degrees. Like, we can start that off in our community centers. Like, I got so much that I can want to talk about. We'll be here for 2 days and counting, because the reality is we've been trying a lot of these things in silos, and it's time for us to just say, hey, you know what? Let's bring the diaspora together. Let's show them how we can multiply like Voltron and have everybody bring the issues to the table, and they can't dismiss us. They can't have closed meetings with the business district in downtown, but open meetings with the ones in Mattapan. We got to change that.
And I want to address just a couple of things. First of all, you all know I have a lot of context. And when Mingo says one thing to me, my brain, as he said, goes 80,000 different ways because there's some things that I know. 2, there's a dynamic that, oh shoot, they can't hear it. That's Alexa. Which means I got to hurry up and get ready to get you out of here so you can go do what you need to do. Go talk about a couple of things, but that's my brother. And so you're seeing some real time debate, because we've done this in the car, we've done this in the truck, we've done this on the phone.
Last 30 years I've known you.
Yeah, brother, it's been a while. I gotta pause and just really say I am proud of you. We have a clear understanding of where we are and whatnot, but in like the last 2 weeks, I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm like, and to a point, and I'll go with a couple more questions. And this is something, Dina, that I've with him, and then in some other spaces. Domingos has some really great great ideas. My hope is that the mayor will somehow work with him to implement some of them. I'm just being realistic because I know all of Boston will not vote him in, and that's a real fact. And so before we get into some of that other stuff that we did a little bit the other day, and you did on shout out to brother Marvin M at Urban Heat, you did talk a little bit about what you would and would not do. Yeah. You talked a little bit about unsolved murders and violence. Statistically speaking, numbers are, in comparison to past years, numbers are low. I believe I saw something the other day that if you did a comparison to last year and this year, the numbers are high as far as homicides and non-fatal shootings. You're aware that there's this now coming together of all violence prevention under one sort of stream. What status, what would you say about violence right now? And I'm saying specifically, tell us how you define violence, and then what is it that you would do to address violence?
Again, that's a huge umbrella.
Yep.
It's a lot to try to capture under violence because we have so many different forms of violence, from youth violence to elders violence to bullying in our classrooms. You know, I'm watching videos of parents in the last few years, their kids commit suicide because of the bullying. We've had a few here in Boston in the last 2 weeks that it's not being put out there. So for us to be able to address a lot of these concerns, we got to stop pushing people's own concerns to the side. We got families who are reaching out, looking for support through the school system, through BPD, and all other ways of communication that people, let them know, hey, reach out to this or that one and this one. And there's always this stone wall when it comes to actually delivering solutions.
So define for us, because we're clear on, we're clear on what the issues.
Listen though, but this again, there's people out there who are bringing up very good points. Again, I mean, we still having folks being dismissed, because I had a parent who came out to me and said that her daughter was sexually assaulted by a teacher, and BPS pushed it to the side, and the teacher's still teaching. And BPS is keeping those kind of numbers down.
So you included sexual assault. You didn't just talk about youth and gun violence.
Right.
How would you, and some of them you can't just blanketly, because how they demonstrate themselves with youth, sexual, gender-based violence and whatnot. So
it's a lot.
It is. And so at a 50,000 foot view as mayor, what would you do to, when you talked about the wall, what would you do to begin to break down the walls?
You have to make it, you got to make it easier for people to be able to file their concerns. You have to make it easier for them to be able to express themselves and use every single bit of energy to investigate the concerns, because families are reaching out. My son's acting up. He don't want to go to school. I'm trying to keep him out of a certain group. Well, we can't do nothing. Where before in the past, we would find someone to intervene, and this is where the community centers come in, where we pair them up with youth workers who are actually finding out how to make them feel more a part of things and let them express themselves, so they don't want to be on the streets running around. We don't talk about our dropout rate that brings in, goes into our youth violence, that goes into the numbers of what our young people are doing. So, I mean, multi layers, but the reality is the solution is in educating people on what's really going on. Gun violence, right? So we talk about a lot of guns getting pulled off the streets.
Mm-hmm.
JORTC teaches you about gun violence. It teaches you about gun safety. It puts you on the right path.
You're going back to Madison.
I'm going back to school in general, because this is stuff we can bring in as early as 6th grade, because they have them in different districts. And we can start educating our students on their Second Amendment right. I said it to a cop in the meeting. Oh, yeah, we got 300 guns, illegal guns off the streets. And I said, I am so happy that we got those guns off the streets. I said, out of those 300 individuals, how many of them knew about their Second Amendment? And how many of them knew about the right to bear arms? And his answer, again, kind of ticked him off, because I was being that, that fly on the wall. And my reality is, a lot of my young people are running around protecting themselves because they got to go to school in Charlestown for Mattapan.
That's real.
That was a conversation on Urban Heat this morning that, we didn't know. Listen, we've been telling people this for decades. This is why the city had schools within their communities. JP High was for JP. Rosendale High was for Rosendale. High Park High was for High Park. Dorchester High was for Dorchester, because they knew off the bat what kind of intensity it was creating when you have folks travel across the city. But that's where sports comes in to unify. Oh, yeah, that's my man James. He plays at Madison. Oh, that's my guy from Dorchester. He plays football, basketball, and runs track. And that's why BNBL was created in the 60s, to help alleviate some of that stress on the violence.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to go back to what we implemented. These things were implemented by a lot of the Black community. The Johnson Center in the middle of Mission Hill, Black center. Orchard Garden used to have its own center that, I said it to a lady the other day. She's, old man Willie? I said, yeah, I know old man Willie James and his son on the drums. And she started laughing. Pastor. They would go Pastor Willie James.
I'm just saying, yes, not old man Willie James.
Well, that's what we used to call him, playing football.
Yeah.
I'm on Dudley Street, how I wound up in Lena Park. playing football.
And we got to show you talk about Lena Park. I'm thinking Orchard Park, but
Orchard Park too.
And
That's
the
what we
community
forget
center.
on.
We got to mention New Edition because that's where a lot of them came together there. And Mike,
I didn't hear anybody say early voting on Saturday at the Shelbourne.
At the Shelbourne, what was at the?
Yeah, that's my point.
What was at the Shelbourne?
Early voting,
right? And you're saying you didn't hear it
at all?
Where?
At the celebration.
Oh.
I'm just saying, James, we are marginalized.
You're right.
So every chance we get to come together, we should be promoting how we can expand our capabilities as a community. But we had 251, and you can look it up yourself, 251 votes out of the Shelbourne between two huge events. Save Our Streets was on Sunday. Beautiful event, great turnout. And again, the New Edition celebration on Saturday. And these two events were literally one was back door of the voting poll. The other one was a block 2 down, less than a half a mile away.
And you're saying that you didn't hear any mention of encouragement to go
when I was physically standing there, I didn't hear any of that being mentioned, not only by the organizers, but also the candidates. Well, again, the electeds who were on stage.
Okay.
And this is what I'm saying. This is why we continue to be disenfranchised. There was no resource tables for housing, for healthcare, for school. School started the next couple of days, and parents are still having questions about where my kid is going to go. We could have had a table there with a laptop and said, hold on, what's your kid's name? And here's where his assignment is, versus waiting until Monday morning, and then you're really lost waiting on a bus that don't even exist.
I'm going to ask you a very James and Mingo question. Mingo, do you think that specifically to that event, having the availability, well, I'm thinking in real time, you think it would have been as utilized, especially once the guests arrived?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because again, you didn't even know it was early voting.
I did know there was early
voting.
Though?
Did you know it was
where? It switches from like year to year, because the first time I early voted was at
that's your pen.
That's Java. Oh, but where did you get that? I'm sorry, I just noticed this pen. The first time I early voted was at Lilly School when I was in Dorchester, and
they were the following weekend.
They switched. I did know there was early voting. But I didn't know the specifics.
This is what I'm saying, James.
That's real. And I'm someone who's engaged. Mingo, I do not beef with. Aaron and I had a conversation the other day, because when we go to the Museum of Science, I'm going to have resource tables at the Red Cup event, because we're just going to have resource tables there. I get it. I agree that at every chance, register, vote, encourage people to vote, and all that. I got no beef with that.
Do you know when people get to citizenship, they're not even registered to vote that day?
They should be, where citizenship should make them eligible to vote. Yes,
right.
But it depends on where they get it. Then they should give them a sheet there on a state level, and then it goes out
automatically walk to a table.
But again, that is
a what
you said. What when people get their citizenship
here in Boston?
I understand that, but that's a Fed and
so I can't call my congresswoman and say, hey, listen, I think. Here's my suggestion, because I've been noticing my residents.
No, as mayor, what you can do is get IGR to get.
I can go set up a table on the sidewalk too as they come out.
Mingo. as you can have your IGR reach out to Galvin, and then Galvin and them facilitate through the county or with the feds or whatever.
Things that we can.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. This is what I'm noticing.
Let me ask you this as because I do. It's an hour, and I know today is very, very important. There's two other personal questions.
It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
No, I'm talking.
Come
you
on,
almost made me cuss. I'm not talking about me. You just said something about the early voting
tomorrow. The preliminaries.
Yeah, when I said I wanted to get you out of here, we talked about
there was no billboard.
But wait, because there was something else I wanted to ask you. Finance. Education. Well, you talked about it a little bit.
Kids can't read, James.
So what would you do? And specifically, and I'm going to ask you for our black boys.
The black boys? We're going to give them things.
We have an idea what the issues are. What would you do in the first 100 days? What would you do to ensure that black boys are a priority in BPS? How?
When they come in kindergarten.
Yep.
You have to keep them on track, and how you do that is listen, every single kid in BPS needs an IPA. Excuse me, not IPA.
IEP.
IEP. I always get
Wait a minute, we need to delete that because you know the
No, don't
social media
delete
folk.
Well, listen, we got a beer
sometimes
garden.
the parents need an IPA. Jesus,
Listen, we got a beer garden going to White Stadium. So anyway, they're just being funny, but they all need an individual education
IEP.
plan because every kid, as we see, has different abilities, and we need to be able to tap into those abilities. Again, you notice I said abilities, not disabilities, because I get tired of saying my kid has a disability and needs a IEP. No, my kid has abilities and I need to enhance it. With that plan designed for these students specifically as they come in kindergarten, we keep them on track. I sat on the school committee in Concord for 3.5 years. First Black elected Boston representative on the regional school committee. That was policies that we changed as parents by being vocal and active. So we have to make sure that when we create these plans, these students' families are at the table. We hear too many parents come back and say, oh, you know, my kid had a meeting and I didn't find out till like 10 minutes after the meeting. And we can't do that. We have to make sure part of our intake is to make sure we spend some time with the young person so we can pretty much, I'm not going to say analyze, because I don't like to analyze people, but I like to figure out what kind of character the kid is. I do that with football. And from there, I can kind of assess on how I go about instructing them. You know, if a kid doesn't know his left from his right, that's, you know, something we can work on if you have the mindset to see it, because not everybody has that. Not every coach can identify that. And, you know, I learned that years ago when we kept running the same play to the left and the kid kept going right. And a simple question clarified that. And a simple symbol as a wristband, he was running to the left. And this is what I'm saying for us as Black men. We got to be those mentors in these schools. We got to allow more volunteers into our classrooms to give back. We can't keep retired school teachers from coming back and helping enhance the subjects they taught. We have a zero volunteer policy when it comes to BPS. It's like, if you're not a vendor, you don't get to come into the building. And we can change that.
When we say things like zero and whatnot, I just want to be sure, are you unequivocally can say that?
Yeah,
unless you're a
vendor, say that. You know why? Because go look for the parent groups. Go look how many schools don't have parent groups. Those are volunteers that you exclude from the conversation.
What I heard was that zero folks can go in and volunteer unless they're a vendor, barring that volunteers still need, without a vendor, they still need to be Corey and Soried. Absolutely.
Right, of course. But you're not going to
walk. Saying there's no.
You're not going to walk in and find a retired school teacher in Orchard Gardens in the library teaching kids how to read for a 30-minute block, volunteering. And get out. Oh, wait, let me flip the script. And get volunteer hours towards their taxes where they can get up to $2,000 a year if they live in the home and they're over the age of 55. These are programs.
Wait, Mingo. You. I thought I'd be packing questions with a lot. Hold on.
You talking about my
the retired
teachers who are Boston residents can volunteer,
yes,
and give back,
yes,
and collect volunteer hours that go towards their property tax for the home they live in.
You said this is something in place or something you would do?
This is in place today.
Okay,
but they can't get into volunteer.
But we got on this conversation because you said it's zero.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
In all BPS, there's no volunteers.
You're not going to find any parent who is volunteering or teacher retired volunteering in our BPS, and you can ask them and they will co-sign it. This is why we have low parent participation. Listen, James, this is what we're getting from. This is how we became familiar with. Again,
no. Are you going to say this is what you're hearing?
No, this is how we got familiar with Orchard Gardens. Remember, we were the guys cleaning up the schoolyard, and we needed a permit.
That part I didn't know. What do you mean we needed a permit? We did not need a permit.
Janina, if you listening, you make sure you respond. So the parents who brought me into my kids never went to Orchard Gardens.
What do you mean they needed the day we went down and cleaned up?
We had to get a permit. We paid $400 out of our pockets to get a permit to clean Orchard Gardens.
Was it marketed as an event or was it
cleanup, a community cleanup?
But what is
an Orchard Garden community cleanup? by parents for students that go to Orchard Gardens, and the administration at that time required us as a group to
thank you for that balance. Yeah.
And we're like, what? Hold on, wait a minute. We're gonna clean up your building?
I did not know that when we was outside, but I didn't know that there had to be a permit.
I'll share the picture. I'll show you the picture of how Marty
did we
responded.
Go inside? How who?
How Marty responded.
Which one? Marty
Walsh. Marty
Walsh.
Oh,
Marty. I thought you said.
Well, I'll send you the picture what he's responding.
I don't want to see that.
So again, it's just life experience that, when folks come to me, they tell me a lot because they've seen some of the things. They're like, you're bold enough to say what a lot of us want to say, but we, for some folks, we fear the consequences. I work for the school system, or I work for the city, or I'm in a position where my job might be threatened. And we notice that you'll say what we're saying, like at the right moment. And I'm like, look, I live here. I'm a member. I'm not someone who's just floating around the city. I'm here making sure when I show up to a BPS school committee meeting, again, mind you, my kids, the last time I was in BPS was my daughter graduating in the 8th grade. And after that, she made the decision to go to Concord Carlisle because she seen the difference between one building and the other. And that was enough to get her to say, hey, listen, man, I think I'd rather come out here. And that's a 35-minute ride.
I just got a text and said the volunteerism is not an absolute zero.
For
BPS.
Yeah, of course. Anyone working for the city. Anyone working for the city.
Oh no, who this is from? They be low key clapping everybody.
Listen, I hear you, but you go to the specific.
That's why
schools,
when you said zero, I was just
ask Leon Rivera, who sent me a message to go fix some cement in front of the school because the school wouldn't fix it. He's in the trenches with
that. Is a little that fixing cement in front of a school.
Listen, we're talking about
because you talked about liability. Is that person a certified?
All that.
A certified masonry.
All that, licenses, registered, insured, the whole nine. We were getting things done as a parent group.
You said I'm asking is the individual.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, they took a contractor there to do it, not that person.
Even the fence at Orchard Gardens, when the parents spoke up and said, we'll do it ourselves, because what we were told was going to take up to 18 months to get the fence put up. Mm-hmm. We wanted solutions next week.
I mean, if something like that, and at this point, just go do it and deal with it after.
Donation.
Yep.
That's what the parents were going to do.
The thing was to Lee's point early, and I'm getting better with it, not perfect, but it's some conditioning because it was asked for permission to go do it rather than we let and I didn't know about the permit piece. We let Orchard Gardens know as a courtesy or whatever, and then they may have let somebody know and you had to get a permit rather than us just showing up. I thought we just showed up on a Saturday.
No, because they wouldn't allow us to use the facilities without a permit.
So inside the school, because we wanted to be inside the school.
No, we wanted just to use the bathrooms so people can have a bathroom.
Mingo, if we
had an emergency, we wanted to be able to go inside.
But Mingo, that BPS and because part of what the text here was the thing about custodian and your union steward. That there's some of that stuff where unions would be like, y'all ain't how getting no. So there's some. A lot of this is
James. I want the custodian to get overtime. I want the custodian because that's how they feed their family because they don't get enough hours themselves. Listen, a lot of the custodians, some of them are only 2 in the building, a senior and a junior. So they're working their fingers off, right? But they don't get overtime. They try to spread it out and give them comp days. They're not getting paid for the hours. They're getting comp days that they use later down the line, if allowed to. Listen, I was there. I understand that.
I understand.
So what I'm saying is there's schools that parents want to be more than just a parent. And they're not allowed to volunteer. They're not allowed to go on school trips. They'll get all the forms to fill out, but then on the back end of it, some BS comes up.
Either it's not processed in time or whatever.
Listen, wherever you getting your info from, school just started, right? Give them 30 days.
No,
let's give them 30 days.
You know me, and if it was a random, I would
James,
be like,
I appreciate I appreciate the information. Super Squirrel, I love them. But what I'm saying is, have them give you a list of every school that has a PTG, that is
parent teachers
group that's fully functioning, certified with the state, to make sure that they can raise funds for these students to bring in special programs for specific.
Now, hold on. You said state, and so that brings up the question. And I owe Tutwiler an email.
They'll wind up what they call in the burbs boosters, right? So these boosters now right? Not to the negative word that we use it as, but these boosters, like the football booster, I was a part of it for Concord Carlisle. We're raising $150,000 for the football team.
You said state, and some of those things I think have flexibility in how they either demonstrate. There's some leeway sometimes for different municipalities to incorporate some of these state laws within.
That's why we got rid of community councils. You don't remember community centers having councils?
That was community centers versus VPS.
It's the same.
But that was not done under this administration.
No, it wasn't. The reason why they were doing it because there was no accountability of the councils. So they were stealing money.
And Mingo, because that, when you said that, I had flashbacks.
Yeah, I know you had flashback. I can see it. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
No, I had because we were. Never mind, because we're gonna get in trouble.
We know the history of what it is.
Yeah, but
don't start shaking.
The main thing, because the main I don't want to slip.
Excitement.
I don't want to slip in because I want to acknowledge a great sister in the room. And she was recently with us, and she has, and put your face up because her comment is long and I want them to see it. So peace and love, brothers. Congratulations, Domingos, on stepping boldly into the mayoral race. Your advocacy, vigor, and fearlessness are exactly what Boston needs. We need some leaders of color, not just at the municipal level, but at the state and federal stage, to hold these so-called progressives accountable and force them to match their words with action. Stir the pot, shake the room, mobilizing unite, fight without fear. Don't settle for tokenized seat at their table. Build a new one. That comes from our good sister. And I'm, Tanya, out of respect, I'm going to say Tanya. I think I called her T the other day. And so look at your face. You was touched by that.
Because you know what it is? That token piece.
Yeah.
Because that right there is what I've noticed. 21, there was a lot of folks in our community who are very boisterous.
Mm-hmm.
And when we take positions where we kill our voice and our community relies on us, because they've put their faith in us, and then we turn around and we go back. Like, we're losing leadership in our community because of token positions. And I learned a long time ago, because my family were wolves, my whole family. My nephew said no. I said no. I will never be a lion, because I will never let the women in my family go out and hunt and come back and feed us. So I'm a wolf. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna hunt. I'm gonna protect the young. I'm gonna protect the old. I'm gonna inspire the women. And I'm going to continue to be, leading from the back of the pack, because that's what wolves do. And I'm at a point in my life where it's like, you know what? I'm already at a position of.
Don't do this, Mingo. Don't, because we both sitting up here.
Come on, we're talking about some real things, because you and I saved lives.
Yeah.
We saved lives with the little we had.
Mm-hmm.
BCYF didn't have a $50 million budget when we were out there pulling kids by the boots and bringing them into the centers, and to keep them there till 9 o'clock at night. And no one gave us the green light. We just went out there and we did it. We didn't get the recognition. We didn't get the awards. And we definitely didn't get the pay. We definitely didn't get paid. Fast forward 30 years, we got a bigger budget, little to no staff, and the people that we service are disserviced. They don't even have engagement. When you tell me the Lee School doesn't have a Pee-wee basketball on Saturday, the first face I see come up is Mr. Haywood's, because he's given so much of his life to the city of Boston.
Is that the young man that just?
That's the gentleman who's been running the Lee School's athletics for the last 30 plus years, who have created some of the greatest individuals I've met from coming out of Boston, from all levels of life, from all walks of lives. And when they tell me Mr. Haywood does not have a Saturday Pee-wee program, I know how detrimental it is to him, because he's dedicated his life to educating kids through sports. And this is why it's important for us to continue to have folks like you create spaces for folks like me.
Mingo.
I mean, you don't have to take the credit, but Jay,
Mingo. So we're going to move into, I have to ask you, don't be writing your notes down and try to throw it in later. Two things I want to ask, and I'll let you go. Faith. You talked a little bit about it the other day, but either faith or the motivating self-care. I want to end with that. And I don't want no policy. I want personal of you. How are you fortifying yourself and taking care of you, and speak a little bit to what personally, let me frame it right, because he'll finagle his way right back to 50,000 foot policy. I got it. Dave P is in the room. Mingo.
What up, D?
How are you taking care of yourself? And I know this won't go back to policy. How do you ensure that you're showing up still full for your family? Ain't no way in the world if you do.
They're with me.
Yeah.
Kids,
They're wonderful. They're with you, but away from policy,
meetings.
how do you show up for them as dad, not the candidate? You say policy, I'm swinging.
James, I'm not lying. They can tell you yourself. They live this with me. So if the other night we was at the Bethel AME forum,
and I seen your baby.
Right,
when she got up and gave you the.
She gave me that because that's what I do with her before she get on stage.
Okay.
So when I give her little, you know what I'm saying, we do our little hand thing, it lets her know we checking in. So that's why I was smiling before I got on stage, because she was whispering things into my ear. It was like, Dad, they can't even touch it. They just don't know.
That's
like,
right, baby.
You know what I mean? So that is for me, you know, again, my favorite campaign video is my 22-year-old talking about me. And she wrote that. That wasn't someone scripted in, gave it to her and said, you need to learn it. That was her.
All right, let me ask you this. Is there ever a time, as supportive as they are, as you make them shut off in campaign mode and y'all are just dads and daughters?
We take it into real life, into their context of what they're doing. Hey, Dad, I got this issue. What do you think? Boom. We would strategize on it. Hey, Dad, I want to do this. My daughter just came from a trial. She went to a national team that she wants to cheer on because she got one more year of college, and she's debating, should I go college or should I go pro and get paid?
Okay.
So those are those pictures you see me posting with her in those videos, because if I'm not there.
And that's when you were at the thing last year.
Dallas, Orlando, you name it. Because I can't be out here saying, yeah, James, we need to support your kids, but then my kids don't get the same love. So my kids, like I said to her this morning, when we went snowboarding with a van full of kids, they were there to be a part of your world. Now you got friends to snowboard. I said, when I was growing up, I had no friends to snowboard. You know how it felt to go to YES and the only kid that was black was me?
Well, we went on a couple of trips where it was just us, but I made it about 6 feet and I instantaneously fell because I was too scared. I want to acknowledge somebody else who was in the room. Talia Wright, or we may know as Rivera, is in the room, and she said, and you were great to speak. And that's a vet in the street work. And so we're going to get ready to wrap up. A couple of acknowledgments on Instagram. I think this is Brenda. Living the truth. You speak to us and it's refreshing. I think that's her. A lot of affirmations in here. I got fussed at a little bit about not letting you answer the questions. Yeah. Or fussing, but I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I still have my ideas and some things, as to people said here, that, you know, hopefully some things are incorporated and you still, you know, keep a voice. And I'd said this to Mingo privately, you know, what's next thing comes with some implications. And I think, you know,
oh yeah, for sure,
my spirit's not
no, nothing malice behind it.
Because this run has been different. And I think in the last 2 weeks, it's something shifted. It wasn't just, shout out to Marv. It wasn't just the poll. It was a big part of it. I think it's the where you have been able to be on stage and debate. It's been a part of it. Well,
debate, they just
forums talk where you've been able to share your
they
message.
Don't want to debate.
Where you've been able to share your message. But we still got to the general of where you've been able to share your message. There's been such and even in here today, and someone actually still, so my sister's in the room, and formerly, I guess I can say formerly of BPS because they can't mess with her. If I still lived in Boston, sir, you would have my vote. You definitely brought a different energy. And there's more sense. Somebody actually already said that they love Wu, the mayor, but they voted for you already.
Well, listen,
you know,
this is listen, all I'm asking folks is to help me get to the next point. Who you support makes a difference, right? But how we go about with the things we've witnessed, the exclusion deliberately done. I've been here since April when I've pulled papers.
Oh, when you just said April, I'm like, wait,
No, I
what?
mean, I'm talking
I
about
know all
on
your
this
life.
platform,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I pulled papers. I collected the signatures. I got on the ballot. It was certified. But because of the influence that I don't have with mainstream media, my voice has been silenced. So that goes back to your voice for the folks who signed 4,000 plus signatures. So if I'm not able to express myself from going through their criteria to get on the ballot, why should I be excluded? And again, this is not about me. This is about the one before me, before them, and the one before that, because they created this narrative. So we discourage each other from running for office. He don't have the money. He don't have the experience, but he got the signatures. And that's what it's about. And that's where we need to bring it to. And when we see little to no promotion for our elections here in Boston, you haven't seen one digital billboard that says that we had early voting or September 9th is the preliminary. You drive through other cities and towns and they promote their election and they get good numbers. We know we're in a marginalized community. We had all these cookouts that was produced by the community and paid for by the city, and no one from the city had the audacity to continue to advertise this election and any election moving, if you can go back and look at it. So I'm saying to us, help me get past the 9th. And don't let the mainstream media be the reason why you didn't know Domingos. Figure it out by making a simple Google search. Who's running for mayor of Boston? And my context goes back decades. I've never seen some candidates in City Hall when we were talking about the surveillance being used by BPD 10 years ago when they came out with the facial recognition and it was paid for with $800,000 of drug money. I was there. I testified. I'm on the minutes. And you can find other minutes with my name on it. And this is what I'm telling folks. Don't get swayed because we're partying, because the party's over. So that means the next 6-7 months, what are you going to do? Wait for the next waves of parties? Boston, Black specifically, we don't need just cookouts. We need cultural events to bring us back.
The only reason I'm going to, because
time is up. I got
no, it ain't even time. It's a thing of there's a protective factor because I've seen some stuff on social media. I know where you're coming from, and I don't want what you're saying to be misconstrued that you're downplaying, you know, the Black
you know what I mean? These cookouts, I was at the grill.
I saw you at a few. Well, I didn't make it to. You did which street did you do for
Pleasant Street?
But
then I did Hamilton. I did a little bit of Hancock.
Yep,
Windover. And then before that, I was at listen. I was on Franklin Hill Association had a cookout. I get there,
but you're not saying that we, because I saw the chatter and Tasha Brown, I think, responded to someone that put up a post that had the sentiment that, yeah, Black is summer, we did all that. Let's have the same energy at the
I agree with it.
And I agree with it. I say it differently now. Like I don't say anymore, if you don't vote, you don't count. Because if you don't vote and you pay taxes, guess what? You still can pick up that phone and call the sewer commission. Right. So go ahead.
What I noticed is the level of engagement the city puts in with different communities. I've been at so many this summer.
Be specific about voting, promoting voting, or about basic city, or what?
Just basic city services.
Okay.
So we show up to the new edition, and the city has put all this resources into it. I show up to the Franklin Hill Community Association community block party. They didn't even have enough book bags.
So when you, and you know this, there, and I'll probably just commentary more after commercial, but there's the appearance of things, and then there is what goes on behind the scenes. And
the appearance of things is called illusion.
It's an illusion, But I said there's a perception, okay, an illusion, and it could be perceived. At one point before you leave here, because
words matter.
Words definitely matter, but my right leg is shaking, so you know I'm ready to. I'll talk more about that. Hold on, doesn't mean no shot. Reverend Amani, you know Reverend Amani, right?
Yeah.
She's in. She said, "Long shot doesn't mean no shot. I'm voting for who speaks a bit." She said, long shot don't mean, you better preach. Long shot don't mean no shot. I'm voting who speaks to me and my concerns and who acts for we, the people. Hey, Rev, good to see you in the room. I'm tired, which is an indicator.
Listen, I'm walking from here to the office.
What to where?
To Dudley. I don't need a ride because you know why?
You're gonna walk in.
It's my community.
You about to pass out on the way down there,
right? So why would I need security? Listen, as mayor, I will never.
I wasn't saying security. I was saying I was going to drop you off so you didn't have to walk.
As mayor, I will never have more than.
That's not wise. It needs, first of all,
especially
Mingo,
in city limits.
No.
I'm telling you, James.
Right, wrong,
there's a lot of
Mingo. Do not get me started about the fact that if you pulled this off and became mayor, everybody ain't going to be happy.
I know. But this is what I'm saying, James.
Because you would need to
listen to the
Mingo.
rationale.
Well, even if you get hood security, you would have something.
We need a city.
He gonna make me cuss. Mingo, I hear what you're saying, but
city where we as the people have to be comfortable to walk.
That's fine to be comfortable to walk.
So listen to the rationale. So you telling community members it's safe for you to walk around the city by yourself. But me as the mayor, I got 10 police officers. And you're telling me this is the safest city. I'm just saying. That's my rationale behind it.
And the rationale valid. And I know the point of what you're saying, Mingo, but you also have
of course, you got to protect yourself. I understand that. I understand that. But what I'm saying,
threats and
so you're saying in the
but
middle,
if you became as a black, do you not know how many people in this city would have a freaking fit because a black man finally became mayor of the city of Boston? Milton talking about you won't need it. Milton would be in. Well,
listen,
we will make sure he was straight. Stop playing.
We will bring them to the table and we will open up dialogue because mental health. We talked about that.
I'm talking about racist.
Racism is a mental health disease. It's taught.
Mingo, you
Mingo,
you got to go campaign.
I brought up that.
You got to go.
I brought up that Harvard professor because she wrote and she put it in the medical magazines.
Hold on. Talia said Mayor Menino walked, but trust and believe. Mayor Menino has.
Well, every time I see Menino, he only had one detail. If it was a community walk,
visible.
If there was a community walkthrough, he would have the station with him because there was a community walkthrough. Yeah, but listen, all I'm saying, visible or invisible, you would not find Menino in the middle of.
And to Chantel's point, MAGA ain't trying to have Mingo. We got to stay focused. Okay, you were supposed to be ending
September 9th.
Hold on. You need to be on screen and look in the camera.
Your camera's twisted.
Look at this one.
Vote September 9th.
You too busy trying to look. Start over. Hold on. I don't want to interrupt you.
Vote September 9th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you don't know where your voting poll is, you can visit my website, DomingosForBoston.org, and we have a link there that will help you get to the hyperlink to make sure you find your voting poll before you get there, because that's another part of voter suppression is they move our polls and we're not up to date, and then we come to find out that specific day that we have to go to a different poll, and that can become an inconvenience. And again, that's the technology that we were talking about the other day, making that accessible in situations of that magnitude. So give me a shot. We can make a lot of things happen in a short amount of time when we come together and we work on it collectively. It takes all hands to make it work, not just certain hands. Happy birthday, James.
I appreciate you.
Man.
I love you, man.
I love you too, man.
I'm so proud of you. As much as I fuss.
Listen, that's what brothers do. I mean, I got younger brothers, and that's all we do. You know,
why you have to say younger, implying that I'm older?
You are. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Listen, when we was at the reunion, he was at the other table. You know them tables on the other side. Yeah, them.
What at the? Listen, I wasn't at the old people's table.
We was at the bar. You were sitting with the people that were sitting down.
And we were all within a couple of years of graduating. There was a couple of
they were sitting down.
There was a couple of tables that
they had
part
a desk
of the first couple of
RPs. Come, James, you can tell them the truth. It's cool.
Everybody been saying I need to get an AARP.
Why not? Shit, you get a discount on rentals, air flights, hotels.
Oh, I need it. Look,
that's what I was saying.
Speaking of rentals and flights, since we getting ready to go, I'm going to get you off screen. But one thing that I do, and I only do, let me get him off once a year, is and I'll only say this is because a lot of people have asked what I was doing this year, and I'm not really doing all that much. I'm going to spend some time by myself. But if you are inclined, if you are inclined to want to send a birthday gift or whatever, there is the Cash App. As you all know, it only goes up once a year, twice a year, birthday and the anniversary. So if you're inclined, and I'm not doing that much, so yeah, I got to get him out of here. We're going to take a commercial so I can transition him out. But again, Mingo, thank you for starting the last day before Election Day with me. I will go ahead and say, because this was supposed to be his last word, but the other day, you're on camera. Can you get off your phone?
Listen, I'm responding to those messages that you were talking about. Because again,
getting a lot of messages.
Someone said that their embassy for Barbados is in New York.
I saw Kenya had said something about that too. So there was you clarified that you were saying that, for example, a Cape Verdean person here should go to the Cape Verdean embassy that is Cape Verdean's embassy here,
right?
Not once you get back, and because the embassy's ran by that country. No, I'm saying that the ones that ran by here are not going to be helpful.
No, the ones ran here is ran by the Cape Verdean Consul.
I know.
Same as any other country. And this is what I'm saying.
But they're also on the federal level, that consul can do whatever they can do at the fullest potential. And even if they're within the law, they can assist. Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't trust
to not go into that building.
So now we got to get, we're going to have everybody going into the.
And that's how you have to find refuge.
Now that's a sanctuary city.
That's how you find your refuge. But if you don't have an embassy here and you got to go to New York, that's a 4-hour drive.
I see what you mean to that point. I think that's what Kenya was saying as well. So I'm tired and I got a headache. That means that we were way out there. But you all go ahead and consider, and I'm going to say, giving this man your vote tomorrow. For me, it's and some people, ain't none of your business as long as he knows. And I know where I am.
That's democracy, James.
That's democracy. But even beyond democracy, we I don't know what a D word to we're deemed as brothers and so have different political views and there's a lens and what you see through us. You are determined to make me cuss before this thing is over in a good way. But all right, I'm going to get him out of here. Make sure you all support and keep an eye on what this man is doing, because a lot of the topics and conversation that he's created and push narratives and push the goalposts even further in these last couple of weeks has definitely been amazing. So we're going to take a commercial. We'll come back in just a couple of seconds and we will be right back with you. Thank you all for being with us, and hold on. We will be right back.
May His peace be with you till we meet again. May His peace be with you till we meet May He give you strength to endure till we meet again. Till we meet again, meet again.
I'm a very sensitive person, and I feel the pain of my people. They know me, they call on me, and I assure them that I'm not a provider, but I am one who cares. I always say to them, well, it's better to know than not to know, because if you know, you can do something about it. Think about the loved ones around you. Think about the ones that love seeing you come through that door. Take the step and get tested. That's it.
Save lives and get screened for colon cancer. For more information, visit boston.gov/cancer.
Sorry about that. We're going to get ready to wrap up. I am exhausted. What you all saw on screen was maybe a slightly downscale version, because there was a couple of moments where I was like pushing back on a couple of things, but this man's stepping up I think he's been in every cycle since 17, 19, 21. At large, 17, 19, 21 in mayor. No, 19, 21, and 23. I don't know if he did 23, but he's ran, and he has good name recognition, consistency, and stick-to-itiveness. Atypical of a traditional Boston Poly candidate. And that's not a bad thing at all. Boston politics is changing, ing, and hasn't changed yet. But I know with voices like his, and I'm getting better, and voices like mine, meaning this platform, as Brother Cook said, change is going to come. The completion of it is going to come. So, again, thank everybody. We tentatively, I was supposed to have, hold on, because Councilor Ruth C. Louis Jean was supposed to come in at 12 o'clock, and let me just text her and see if she is, because if she is, then I will need to figure out, it would just make sense to stay on for the next 25 minutes. So, don't start. Again, thank everybody for the birthday wishes. Let me just check in with Councilor Louis Jean, because I could also understand if she's out campaigning today. And let me say this real quick. I'm gonna say it, but it's at large. Vote black and brown only. Y'all got 8 choices. We know who our 3 incumbents are. We have Valdez, Anua, the Marv brother, Jesus. Hold on, let me just see. By data, by predictions, by stats, whether we agree with them, right, wrong, or indifferent, the political landscape currently is what it is. Away from our principles and values and a lot of things that were stated here about people voting, how they're voting, the prediction stats, numbers, polls predict Mayor Wu as the winner. That national energy, white nationalist energy, the local demonstration of that is active. And also those that help strategize with candidates with intentionality of getting their people in for the purpose of an agenda, somewhere a few months ago saw the handwriting on the wall and more than likely nudged, affirmed a particular at-large candidate to get back in. And also this is political punditry. I got word this weekend. I will just let you all know that and either the Globe or the Herald put an article out the other day about this. Hold on. While by charter, the mayor's position is one of the most powerful mayor's positions in this city. Side note, a lot of the functions and things in the way that the mayor's seat moves that has been highlighted in this election is not foreign and not new. By charter, this city has one of the most powerful mayoral seats in the country by charter. However, the city council through the budget has some abilities. While we may not agree with everything in Mayor Wu's agenda, there are some things that have been made things more equitable, that have helped Black-owned businesses. Canyon more for improvement, individuals, entrepreneurs that we talk with Mingo about and whatnot. I'll try to get to my point is that this at-large race, there is some intentionality to knock off, there's some intentionality to knock off the people of color. Right now, at large, you have Ruth C's, she's pretty good. Julia's pretty good. Murphy, pretty good. Santana, however, we will find out Tuesday night who places 8th. And that is somewhat of a predictor of who's going to top 4 in November. I am encouraging you. What I'm getting ready to talk about has been done in white communities for political strategy for decades. Carlos has affirmed it. Others have talked about it. It's called block voting. Not a guaranteed strategy, but it's been a part of it. Vote Black, brown only, and don't give any white candidates your at-large votes. Period. I've been accused of being a racist, which I can't be because I'm not white. I've been accused of being prejudiced. Have I had some issues a lot since 2020 and some realizations about, and since this election, and since what's going on to erase us as Black people, and since recognizing and discerning that that energy is active back here. Listen, y'all better hear me what I say. Black and brown only. And if you don't take all 8, if there's only 6 or 7 Black and brown, get them all past the preliminary. And then we'll have further conversation about the ones that best align with our priorities, morals, values, and desires we want for Black Boston. So. The counselor wants to come back at 12:15. I get it. I can't make it till 12:15. Ain't no way in the world. So we'll see you all back here in the Java Cafe at 12:15 for a midday Java check-in with City Councilor Rusi Louis-Jen, and I might be able to pull in a couple of other people. But I mean this, y'all. I've been in this for a little bit. I've had great tutelage and mentoring by some of the greatest strategists, former electeds in our city. I've made a lot of mistakes and had to learn from them. The ability to look at a wall and see invisible handwriting can be stressful. And I'm telling y'all, we got to be intentional. So, my thing is, more than anything, vote. I'm about to Dina always gets me in trouble. I'm telling y'all, Frank Baker is there's anyway. We'll be back at 12:15 with City Council President Ruth C. Louisian. All right. I'll come back at 12 o'clock for midday. Jesus Lord. I'll see y'all at 12 o'clock for midday job. All right. We'll be back in about 15 minutes. I have to get her a new link and all that. So we'll see y'all in 15 minutes for midday Java. We're going to talk about the Bennett family's dedication, and also Teddy Riley, Brownstone, Ronnie DeVoe, at Grace by Knee the other night. Shout out to Knee Nice. We'll see you at 12 for